High school student Yuji Itadori wakes up in a room filled with talismans strapped to a chair across from a blindfolded man named Satoru Gojo, who tells him to not be concerned about others because he is sentenced to be executed. The day before, Yuji goes to check on his grandfather at Sujisawa Hospital, but his grandfather annoyingly tells him to attend his club instead. Meanwhile, Megumi Fushiguro from Jujutsu Tech searches for a cursed object at Sujisawa High, but is told by his teacher, Gojo, to stay there until it's recovered. Later, Yuji's occult club is told that they can't go on because of not having enough members, as they realize that Yuji hasn't been enrolled as a member yet, even though he insists that he filled it out. A sports teacher suddenly arrives and says he wants him to join the sports club, so the two agree on a deal where Yuji will join the sports team if he can defeat him. As they're about to begin, the teacher says he'll go easy on Yuji, but instantly gets defeated when Yuji creates a new record. Later, Yuji is confronted by Megumi, who tells him that a dangerous cursed object is currently in the occult club, while at Sujisawa High, Sasaki and Iguchi. The other club members try to unwrap the cursed object's seal, unknowingly triggering curses to appear. Yuji, feeling a strange pressure, wants to help rescue his friends, but Megumi tells him to stay behind. Megumi rushes into the school, armed with his technique and two divine dogs, and starts fighting the curses as Yuji overcomes his fear and crashes in before the two get trapped, so he swallows the cursed object, a finger to gain the power of the greatest curse ever, Ryomen Sukuna, before easily defeating the curse. However, the situation takes a dark turn as Ryomen Sukuna is reborn with a desire to kill humanity before Yuji manages to suppress him, but Megumi declares that he's going to exorcise him. Megumi gets ready to exorcise him, but Yuji assures him that he means no harm before the teacher, Satoru Gojo, unexpectedly arrives, and Yuji tells him that he ate the cursed finger, merging with Sukuna, so Gojo tells Yuji to let Sukuna out for exactly 10 seconds and has a quick battle before Yuji smoothly regains control before collapsing. Later, Gojo convinces the higher-ups to delay Yuji's execution until he consumes all 20 fingers, which will get rid of the last remains of Sukuna, and tells Yuji that his sentence has been delayed. Yuji goes to visit Sasaki and Iguchi in the hospital, blaming himself for the incident and promising Sasaki that a sorcerer will come to heal Iguchi before going to meet Gojo outside the hospital and agreeing to eat all 20 fingers before getting executed. Gojo tells Yuji to pack his bags, and they head to the Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical School, where Yuji undergoes an interview with Principal Yaga, expressing his desire to learn jujutsu to help others, so Yaga challenges him and attacks him with a cursed corpse doll until he reveals his determination, after which he is accepted into the school, and Gojo shows him to his and Megumi's room before saying that they'll be picking up the third first-year student the next day. Nobara Kujisaki, the third first-year student at Jujutsu Tech, arrives in Tokyo as Yuji and Megumi wait for her in Harajuku, where Yuji wonders why there are only 3 students in his class before Gojo arrives, complimenting Yuji's new uniform and remarking that he got it customized before telling them that they'll meet Nobara in Harajuku, where she arrives and is unimpressed by Yuji and Megumi.
We have a problem! We have a problem! Ladies and gentlemen, we have problems!
Gojo suggests a Tokyo tour but takes them to an abandoned building near a cemetery infested with curses, where he assigns a test to Nobara and Yuji, handing Yuji a cursed dagger called Slaughter Demon. Nobara, experienced with curses, brashly heads in with and orders him to search downstairs while she explores upstairs. As he heads down, he suddenly gets ambushed by a cursed spirit, but his quick reflexes and the cursed tool help him defeat it while outside. Gojo explains the test assesses Nobara's capability to handle curses, because city curses are stronger and much more cunning, forcing their opponents into brutal decisions. As inside, Nobara faces a cursed corpse disguised as a mannequin, but is surprised when a cursed spirit takes a child hostage, gesturing for her to surrender to protect him before Yuji smashes through the wall and saves the boy, after which she swiftly defeats the curse and reveals her motivation for joining Jujutsu Tech, avenging her friend Sorcerer, who was outcast in her village. After the mission, Gojo offers to treat them to dinner before Nobara and Yuji start. A month, 3 first years is summoned to exorcise a cursed womb, and one of them died. Iguchi, who works at Tokyo Jujutsu High, brings first-year students Yuji Itadori, Megumi Fushiguro, and Nobara Kujisaki to the detention center, where they discover that there's a potential threat of a special grade cursed spirit inside Block 2, and their mission is to confirm and rescue any survivors. Iguchi explains the strength and grades of cursed spirits, telling them to either run away or facing death when dealing with special grades. They head inside the detention center and find a cursed innate domain, But while looking for survivors, they come across mutilated bodies, including a man named Tagashi, the son of a distressed mother outside seeing which Yuji wants to retrieve the body, but Megumi refuses, revealing Tagashi's criminal history as they start seriously arguing about Yuji's belief in guiding people to a proper death before Nobara suddenly gets attacked by a curse, and Megumi realizes that his white divine dog that he summoned has been killed before a special grade cursed spirit suddenly appears in front of them, leaving them paralyzed with fear. Yuji tries to take his dagger out but gets his arm chopped off as Nobara is against curses in a different area. Yuji calmly forces Megumi to leave so he escapes with Nobara, leaving him behind as Yuji struggles against the special grade, emotionally and physically weakened before depressingly realizing that he must channel his negative feelings into his fist. In a desperate move, he charges forward before Sukuna, the powerful curse within Yuji, takes control and overpowers the special grade by activating his domain expansion, slashing the curse into pieces and taking a cursed finger from it before annoyingly telling Yuji to regain control. But when nothing happens, he realizes something and maliciously grins.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Outside the detention center, Megumi notices the curse wound's innate domain disappearing before Sukuna arrives, blaming Yuji for overusing power and tearing out his heart. He consumes another finger, preparing to kill Megumi, who seriously gets ready to fight as they start battling, and he uses his Shikigami Nu, but gets effortlessly beaten up by Sukuna. Despite this, Megumi recalls his past and remarks that being truly fair is rare, which is why he saved Yuji, as he couldn't bear to witness a genuinely good person die before Yuji regains control, and tells him to live long and fulfilling lives before collapsing. In Tokyo, a group discusses using Sukuna's finger to test his strength before they enter a cafe. Meanwhile, Gojo remarks that Yuji was sent on a dangerous mission by higher-ups on purpose as Megumi and Nobara gloomily meet the second-year students, Maki, Inumeki, and Panda, and get invited to the Kyoto Sister School Goodwill event, an event involving an annual battle between the Tokyo and Kyoto Jujutsu Highs, and both first years agree to participate to become stronger. Meanwhile, the group of 3 cursed spirits ask the man how they can defeat the sorcerers, to which the man says they have to 1. Immobilize Gojo Satoru 2. Get Yuji Itadori and Sukuna on their side, remarking that he isn't sure he's dead. Yuji finds himself in a strange place and faces Sukuna, who's sitting on a pile of skulls and thinks they're in the afterlife, before challenging Sukuna, who explains that they're in a suspended state in his mind, offering a deal to fix Yuji's heart on 2 conditions, but Yuji flatly refuses, and the 2 get ready to fight before Sukuna slashes off Yuji's head. Meanwhile, Gojo talks to Aijiki and says he aims to improve the Jujutsu community by training new, better sorcerers before Yuji suddenly wakes up, seeing which Gojo starts laughing and says it's good to see him back. In the cafe, the cursed spirits plan to use a special object, Prison Realm, to trap Gojo before angrily incinerating everyone present inside. Meanwhile, Megumi trains with the other students while Gojo privately trains Yuji to control curse energy, explaining that it's determined by their emotions, and leaving him with a stack of moves and a cursed doll to punch Yuji whenever he isn't able to balance his emotions. Later, as Gojo is heading to a meeting, he gets off, suddenly sensing a disturbance, and gets attacked by one of the cursed spirits, Jogo. Jogo attacks Gojo with magma-based abilities, thinking he has the upper hand. However, Gojo shocks him with his immense cursed energy and sees that Jogo is an unregistered special grade, and despite Jogo's efforts, his attacks prove useless against Gojo's strength, seeing which he remarks that Jogo chose a location without people to avoid interference from other sorcerers. Jogo unleashes his ember insects, but Gojo effortlessly counters them and demonstrates his curse technique, showing off the vast difference in their abilities, and introduces Jogo to the concept of infinity before starting to beat him up, as Jogo realizes that the man, Guido's warning about them not being able to kill Gojo was true. Gojo suddenly disappears to show Yuji a demonstration and tells him about the strongest final move, domain expansion, as Jogo, angered by Yuji's presence, activates his domain, Coffin of the Iron Mountain, trapping Gojo and Yuji, seeing which Gojo explains how domains work and reveals his own unlimited void, instantly overwhelming Jogo with information and rendering him paralyzed before ripping his head off. However, before Gojo can extract information from Jogo, a mysterious wooden cursed spirit, Hanami, arrives and grabs Jogo's head before they quickly escape, leaving Gojo impressed with Hanami's ability to conceal her presence. Despite the cursed escaping, Gojo says he wants Yuji and the other students to be able to handle and defeat such curses, and tells Yuji that he will undergo a month of intense training and will take on missions to prepare for the upcoming Goodwill event. Meanwhile, Gido, Hanami, and another cursed spirit, Mahito, plan to carry out Gojo's sealing on October 31st in Shibuya to be as cunning as true humans. Megumi and Nobara are running errands for Maki, as Panda remarks that the party from Kyoto is coming today and wonders if Mei and Todo will come as well, even if it isn't necessary for students to visit. As students Todo and Mei run into Megumi and Nobara, and Mei mockingly says she heard one of their classmates die, but Todo, who's uninterested in small talk, asks Megumi what kind of girl he's into, to which he answers that he doesn't have a specific type as long as she has an unshakable character, to which Todo calls him boring and instantly attacks as Mei restrains Nobara. Todo keeps rushing at him and beats Megumi up despite his attempts to fight back, calling him weak-willed before Megumi says he'll get serious now, and the two get excited, but Panda and Toge intervene, so Todo leaves and tells them to ask Yuta to come to the Goodwill event as well. Meanwhile, Mei shoots Nobara, but Maki arrives and starts trash-talking Mei before Todo arrives and says they have to leave now because of the idol, Takada's event starting soon. As they're heading back, Nobara asks Maki why she only uses cursed tools, to which she answers that it's because she doesn't have any cursed energy and wears glasses to see cursed spirits, before revealing that she wants to become a sorcerer to rebel against her all-sorcerer family. Meanwhile, Gojo meets with Principal Gakuganji and starts disrespecting him before dismissing the old Jujutsu traditions and predicting a shift towards a new era, where potential students and unregistered special grade curses will redefine the Jujutsu world. A month later, mutated corpses are found in a cinema where Mahito gets noticed by a boy who sees curses as Yuji and another sorcerer investigate the incident. At Satozakura High School, Junpei Yoshino is getting bullied after being falsely accused of ogling at a girl. Later, he sees the same bullies at a movie theater before Mahito, a cursed spirit, intervenes and mutates their bodies, catching Junpei's attention. Driven by curiosity, Junpei confronts Mahito in an alleyway, asking how he did that as authorities hand over the case to Jujutsu sorcerers Yuji and Kento Nanami. Investigating the scene, Nanami explains the cursed residuals left behind, and Yuji learns to perceive them with focus. In a past conversation between Nanami and Gojo, he expresses skepticism about Jujutsu sorcerers' morality and corporate work and openly says he doesn't respect Gojo's rule-breaking tendencies but agrees to mentor Yuji, still considering him an immature sorcerer. In the present, Yuji and Nanami follow the cursed residuals to the rooftop where curses appear, so he advises taking one each and explains how his technique works, emphasizing the advantage of exposing one's abilities in battle before swiftly defeating the curse, leaving Yuji to face his own, so employs the divergent fist move, demonstrating effective channeling of cursed energy into his fists, seeing which Nanami recognizes the progress from his training and realizes that the creatures are not curses, but mutated humans affected by a cursed technique, and takes them to a woman named Shoko for confirmation as Yuji struggles with the guilt of ending their existence, revealing genuine emotions to Nanami's surprise. Meanwhile, Mahito takes Junpei to his hideout, explaining how curses stem from human emotions as Nanami locates the hideout, but tasks Yuji with following a lead on Junpei, the sole witness in the cinema, so Yuji, accompanied by Ajiki, finds Junpei walking by and tails him using a small curse trapped in a talisman-covered box. Junpei, who was once a huge movie club enthusiast at Satozakura High School, faced severe bullying from some students and was severely beat up. In the present, Junpei engages in a conversation with Mahito about the nature of life and the lack of value in existing before Mahito reveals his ability to manipulate human forms using his curse technique, after which Junpei leaves, unaware that Yuji and Ajiki are discreetly following him since Yuji was told to release very weak cursed spirits called flyheads to see how Junpei would react. Meanwhile, Nanami faces Mahito in an underground lair, and despite his reluctance to kill mutated humans, Mahito views him as a suitable subject for his experiments before they start battling, and Nanami breaks Mahito's arm, discovering him being similar to Satoru Gojo before Mahito questions the relationship between the body and the soul, and Nanami says the body comes first, while Mahito argues that the soul shapes the body and unleashes his innate technique, idol transfiguration, to alter shapes by manipulating souls. Meanwhile, Junpei encounters his teacher outside of school, who asks why he didn't come to the bully Shota's funeral, since he always seemed to be hanging out with him, intensely infuriating Junpei before Yuji intervenes with a flyhead and takes the teacher's pants off before he and Junpei quickly run away. As they talk, Nanami and Mahito continue their underground battle as he struggles with the challenges posed by Mahito's transfigured humans and remarks that he's a bad matchup for his technique, before catching Mahito off guard as his curse energy unexpectedly surges and he enters over time. Nanami inwardly remarks that he has a time-based vow to enhance his power, with which he reaches overtime as his technique, ratio technique, collapse, allows him to strike a wall of the shockwave of curse energy, and Mahito, considering two options, decides to retreat after Nanami slashes off his leg. Meanwhile, Yuji gets invited to Junpei's house for dinner by his mother, and later, Junpei reflects on good people like Yuji and his mother, concluding he could never kill anyone as Junpei's mother discovers Sukuna's finger at the dining table as a curse appears. Nanami and Yuji prepare to confront Mahito and discuss the potential danger he poses to Junpei before Nanami asks him to monitor Junpei, who is being missiled by Mahito as Junpei eventually returns to school after his mom was killed for revenge on Shota, a student who bullied him, and students in the school auditorium pass out as Junpei enters, leaving only Shota and the teachers Sobamura conscious before confronting Shota about Sukuna's finger and starting to choke him with his shikigami. But just as Junpei is about to deliver a fatal blow, Yuji rushes in and urging him to stop, to which he tells him to stay away, addressing him as a jujutsu sorcerer. Yuji contacts Nanami, expressing his intent to go to Satozakura High School. However, Nanami, facing transfigured humans in the city sewers, warns Yuji about Mahito probably being there and instructs another sorcerer, Ino, to handle the transfigured humans by promising a recommendation for his grade 1 promotion. Ignoring warnings, Yuji rushes into the school where he finds Junpei strangling Shota before Junpei summons the jellyfish Shikigami Moondregs, using it to bind and protect himself, and rejects the concept of morality, claiming people don't have hearts before they start battling. And as the clash intensifies, Junpei's broken personality and trauma starts surfacing and attacks Yuji with his Shikigami, which he doesn't dodge and steps forward, asking him to come to Jujutsu Tech with him so that they can fight together before Mahito descends, interrupting them, and creepily stands behind Junpei, saying he has a good head, but is going to die before initiating idol transfiguration and mutating him. Desperate, Junpei pleads Sukuna to help him, but he maliciously denies before starting to wickedly laugh as Yuji remarks that he forgot after all, that they're all still curses, and confronts Mahito in a fit of rage, vowing to kill him. And as the battle escalates, Mahito remarks that he wants to provoke Yuji into relying on Sukuna so that he can create a binding vow, but despite his attempts, Yuji keeps rushing forward and relentlessly attacks before Nanami arrives to help him, seeing that Yuji's attacks are effective against Mahito. As the situation intensifies and Yuji and Mahito start attacking Mahito together before he attempts to touch Yuji's soul and faces Sukuna, who says he'll let him go only once since they ridicule Yuji, together before Nanami and Yuji get ready to shower Mahito with blows and exorcise him.